Nearly 6 months after Vladimir Putin sent Russian soldiers into Ukraine, the severity of the impact to the European economy is starting to become clear. The warning signs of the recession are flashing for the major four economies in the eurozone: Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. The International Monetary Fund has lowered its growth projections for and higher interest rates as a drag on the economy. Inflation in the United Kingdom has exceeded 10 for the first time in 40 years as a result of the nation's high energy prices. Following a recent spike in energy prices, the Bank of England forecasts that inflation will hit 13 and fall, and that the economy will go into a protracted recession. While Britain is facing new difficulties as a result of Brexit, the rest of Europe is also being impacted by factors such as increased energy prices, supply chain disruptions, labor shortages, and drought. The misery might persist for a long, according to researchers at the Economist Intelligence Unit, because nations must wean themselves off of Russian hydrocarbons and the development of renewable energy sources will take time. In today's video, we'll examine the causes behind Europe's impending entry into the worst and longest recession in its history, the profound effects that Russia is having on European nations, and how this will forever alter the course of history. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to China News before we begin. Let's get going. The recession has hit Europe. The oil crisis, prolonged dry spells, and a collapse in global trade are all having a negative impact on Europe's largest economy, which is built on manufacturing. In the second quarter, economic growth slowed to a crawl. However, this trend is anticipated to change in the upcoming months. The Bank of England has issued a warning that Europe's economy might see its worst downturn since the 1940s. Additionally, the third quarter decline contrasts with 0.2 and 0.52 and 0.5 growth in France, Germany, and Italy, respectively. The European Commission issued a warning on Friday, predicting that the eurozone would most certainly enter a recession in the fourth quarter due to high inflation and increasing interest rates. Inflation is now anticipated to reach a peak of 8.5 by the end of the year. Economic activity is anticipated to decline even further in the first quarter of 2023 as inflation keeps eating away at families' disposable income. However, the Commission anticipates that the Eurozone's GDP growth will continue to be positive in 2024. In contrast, the Bank of England predicted last week that a 2-year recession in the UK would begin in the third quarter. The central bank indicated that any GDP decreases in 2024 would probably be small, despite the fact that it would be the longest depression since World War II, exceeding the recession that followed the 2008 global financial crisis. Weak economic growth makes it more difficult for the UK government to win back investor confidence following a run on the pound and a crisis in the bond market in September. The proposal to lower taxes while raising expenditure and borrowing under previous Prime Minister Liz Truss was to blame for this. Germany needs a miracle to escape a recession in the second half of the year, according to Karsten Brzezinski of the Dutch banking. He continued by saying that the fact that the German economic system as a whole is presently undergoing renovation would also hurt future development chances. The economy of the European Union is at a turning point, according to Paolo Gentiloni, European Commissioner for Economic Affairs. Germany, prior to the crisis in Ukraine, Germany's economy was one of the most dependent on Russian natural gas and is predicted to do poorly. It is expected that Germany's output would decrease by 0.6 even during the coming year, due to Russia's reduction in gas supplies to Europe, which are essential for industrial activities like heating. Natural gas and energy costs have increased. While state-owned supplier Gazprom has cited technical difficulties and customers' unwillingness to pay in rubles, European officials have accused Russia of employing energy warfare to retaliate against EU countries for their backing of Ukraine. In response, EU nations have secured new supplies of natural gas by pipeline from Norway and Azerbaijan, as well as liquefied natural gas via ship from the United States and Qatar. They have also given financial aid to customers suffering increased prices. Although there is now no more gas in store, a very harsh winter and the loss of any leftover Russian gas may potentially prolong the gas shortage until the winter of 2023-2024. While this is going on, power costs are skyrocketing for both homes and businesses, which has led to some companies ceasing all inefficient activities in energy, intensive sectors like steel and fertilizer. Berlin will impose a gas fee on houses starting in October and lasting until April 2024 as a reaction to the energy crisis, with the intention of sharing the higher wholesale costs between consumers and business. The government has put in place an energy support package worth more than €30 billion, which includes a lump sum bonus of €300 for employees, increased aid for those living in poverty, lower taxes on gasoline and diesel, and reduced earn-in bus and rail fares. France, on the other hand, which relies heavily on nuclear energy and generates just over 70% of its power, should be more protected than many other European nations. However, it has frequently had serious issues with deteriorating reactors. The second largest economy in the eurozone, while being in a better situation than Germany, may experience disastrous power disruptions this winter. When it comes to the eurozone's top competitors, Italy's economy has recently outpaced them, expanding by 1. However, due to its similar dependence on Russian gas to Germany, Italy has just seen a fresh wave of political unrest following Mario Draghi's departure as prime minister earlier this summer. Spain, like every other nation in Europe, has been negatively impacted by the Russian war, but it has the greatest chance of all the major economies, despite skyrocketing inflation, of avoiding a recession. There are several reasons for this. Like Italy, its economy was in rather excellent shape before the recession and has benefited from an increase in tourism as a result of the epidemic. Prior to COVID, Spain's GDP and employment were both 12 based on the travel and tourist industry. But compared to Italy, Spain is less reliant on Russian energy and already imports a sizable amount of liquefied natural gas from throughout the globe. The second quarter had a 1.1. The second quarter had a in GDP, which is anticipated to expand at the quickest rate of the major four. Due to Russia's war on Ukraine, which has driven up oil prices and hurt consumers' wallets all throughout Europe, the continent is currently experiencing economic hardship. The war between Russia and Ukraine has made Europe's energy crisis worse. While the continent's financial difficulties have reduced economic confidence, Europe is suffering from widespread inflation and rising energy costs. Both socially and economically, the European Union is caught in a bind. According to the most current Eurostat data, inflation in the eurozone hit a new high of 10.7% in October, exceeding market expectations and increasing by 0.8 percentage points from September. In 2023, employment growth will likewise stop, reversing a pattern that had helped the bloc's employment reach record highs in the wake of the epidemic. The unemployment rate in the Eurozone and the European Union will both reach 7.2 in 23. The National Grid has issued a warning that homes in the UK may experience a string of 3-hour power outages if gas supplies from Russia are cut off. To maintain the overall security and integrity of the electricity system across Great Britain, the company claims that in the unlikely event of a supply shortage, the electricity for some customers may be disconnected. The worst-case situation, according to the company, would be power disruptions. This would indicate a severe cold snap constrained European electricity imports and insufficient gas for power plant. Blackouts are common in many parts of the world where infrastructure cannot keep up with demand spikes, but they're uncommon in wealthier European nations. Experts have expressed concern about the potential effects of power outages on consumers, such as the failure of mobile network. Coal, oil, and natural gas combustion produce more than 1/3 of the electricity used in Europe. Up until recently, Russia served as the bloc's main supplier of gas and crude oil. However, as a result of the EU imposing sanctions on Moscow for its invasion of Ukraine, Russia has significantly reduced gas deliveries to European nations in recent months. As a result, the EU has had to look for alternative suppliers, build up reserves, and reduce consumption. U.S. mayhem next week? New China's plan to crash U.S. economy? They planned this from the beginning. Don't waste your time, just click it.